Hey guys, it's Maggie and I'm gonna explain some stuff! So, today we are talking about Hernan Cortez and the Aztecs. Cortez was this 18, 19-year-old kid that his father he was like, hey, you're an obnoxious kid. Go away, go explore some stuff. If you die, it's like, who cares? So anyway, bit of background. 1494, Pope Alexander VI, which is different from Sixtus IV. Yeah, he made the Treaty of Tordesillas, which basically split the territory of the New World, or the discovered New World, north and south between Portugal and Spain. So Portugal basically gets everything that is east of the line, and Spain gets everything west. Spain kind of got the way better deal here because they got the majority of North America and South America, with the exception of like Brazil. And when they did kind of explore some of North America, they were like, yo, this sucks. There's nothing here. We can't find gold. They weren't looking hard enough, but they couldn't find any. So basically, he split the line and was like, this belongs to you. This belongs to you. Stop fighting. Go explore. Cortez, in 1519, goes to modern-day Mexico to find the Aztec Empire. Now, the Aztec Empire is the super coolest thing ever. I'm a little obsessed with them because I think they're so awesome. They were thousands and thousands of years ahead in engineering and architecture and culture and religion, and they were super healthy, actually, which is crazy. Like, this is at the time the bubonic plague has just destroyed Europe, and they're over here like, hey, we like never get sick, and we have like, we wash our hands and bathe. The king actually, the king of the Aztecs actually had this huge like bath system that would like, he could take a bath in it and it would also water his gardens. It was like an amazing feat of engineering. It was absolutely fascinating. And so when Cortez showed up and he was just like, what? This is super advanced. No one told me they were gonna be advanced. I thought they were savages that killed 40 guys on this island in San Salvador. But anyway, so Moctezuma II. So Cortez wandered up to the capital, which was Tenochtitlan. Background on the Aztecs. So, the Aztecs were originally part of a bigger tribe. I don't remember the name. The main city was called Teotihuacan. That's an important name to know. The Aztecs were a smaller tribe, and one of the leaders of the Aztecs was going to get married to the daughter of the big thing. And so Aztecs, they're kind of into human sacrifice. So they take the day before the wedding, some priests and guys take the princess, and they're like, hey, we have a really important religious thing to do, and we need her. And so basically they take her away, and she jay chillin' with the Aztecs. And then they put her on a sacred stone, and they took out her heart. And they ripped it out. And then they took off all of her skin and made it into a cloak. The next day at the wedding, they're all like, hey, where's the princess at? And the Aztecs were like, we don't know. They do a dance for the leader of the whole thing. They do a dance dressed in the cloaks, the skin cloak, which was kind of awful. And the guy was like, what did you do, you awful people? Get out of my country. Go. Please, get out. Yeah, they fled. And they go to, the main leader guy was like, I had a dream that we should go and start our civilization when we see an eagle eating a snake on a cactus, which you might know is the symbol that is on the flag of Mexico today. Fun factoid. And so they finally see an eagle eating a snake on a cactus in the middle of a swamp. It's really hard to build things on top of swamps, but they did. What they did essentially is they pushed stakes deep into the ground. They would like hammer them really deep into the earth and then basically made an island, like an island in the middle of the swamp on top of these stakes. And they eventually built causeways, these big road dock things. The same idea, pushing stakes into the ground. There were 4 main ones, and then you could still get there by boat. And they didn't have pack animals. That's important to know. They built all of these amazing things out of stone and without pack animals. So it's all these people carrying huge, heavy stones all by themselves. It is to be noted here that they made pyramids like the Temple Mayor, which is like a really important one, and everyone's like, oh, they built pyramids even though they had never seen the Egyptian pyramids. There's aliens. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's just the best way to build something out of a lot of stones without it falling over. But you know, sure, we'll go with aliens, that's fine. The Tepanecs, which were a nearby tribe, controlled the fresh water, basically all of it. And the Aztecs were like, we want to control the fresh water. So they basically took over, became this superpower force in Mesoamerica, and now the Aztecs are the cool guys. They're the bosses. And they started taking basically tributary from nearby tribes. They would like take over them, and they would be like, hey, give us cloth and food and some human sacrifice victims, and we won't kill you. And they did this to everyone. They basically they taxed everyone. It was great. So these people are not savages, they're very civilized, and a lot of historians say that if Cortez hadn't come along, it would have become probably a major superpower in the world today. So, Mexico, you're pretty cool, and I'm so sorry that Europe messed you up. I'm sorry. So, it was pretty vulnerable to flood as it's in a swamp. And with the help of a nearby really, really smart engineer called Ahuitzotl, am I saying that right? They made chinampas. Chinampas are these floating gardens. They would basically make like a raft and then make like a little garden in the raft and plant things there, and just farming on water with artificial land. It was so effective. Their food grew like crazy. In fact, they could feed the entire empire, which I want to say Tenochtitlan had like twice as many people in it as like London. It was crazy, huge, and very, very well run. So the empire kept growing and growing, and they were taking over the nearby tributary states. But as the empire grows, so does human sacrifice. There's a lot of reasons why people think that they had the high levels of human sacrifice that they did. It's a kind of a combination of one, it was a religious purpose. Obviously, they thought that human blood was more important than gold. Like, gold was just like, oh, it's a rock. But human blood was precious and the food of the gods. Essentially, the gods gave them like water and sky and earth and food, and in return, they gave the gods human blood. So it was kind of a back and forth balance thing. Another thing is people think it was, as a way to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. They're like, hey, if you don't respect us, we'll just sacrifice you. Some people thought that it helped, it was like part of their food source, like cannibalism. That's not a popular theory because there's no real evidence to back it up. And then a lot of people think that the Spaniards, when they came, kind of exaggerated how many people were being sacrificed. In reality, it's probably a combination of a lot of these things. They created superhighways with runners stationed. This is completely separate from the human sacrifice thing. We're moving on. So they had these huge highways with like runners stationed, kind of like Pony Express style. So they could deliver messages probably faster than our mail system can today. So when our boy Hernan Cortez shows up, a runner sees him and the capital knows in like 2 hours. And so Moctezuma II was like, I'm kind of freaking out. A quick note about Moctezuma II. There was something wrong with him. He might have been depressed or paranoid or schizophrenic. It's very unclear, but from all the records that we have of him, they describe him as being a little off. He had been having dreams and visions of this god, Quetzalcoatl, is going to show up. And this is probably a good thing that a god would show up, because the Aztec Empire was kind of falling apart. They were spreading themselves too thin with taking over these tributary tribes. The Aztecs see these boats coming in, and they're like, what's a boat? They've never seen like a huge boat before, just kind of tiny canoes. So they call them floating mountains. And so Cortez is marching his army along, and the natives are kind of talking to him, like the people along these superhighways. They're like, oh, you have to go to the capital. The capital's the golden city. It's beautiful. You must go. And he's like, there's a city. There's society. I thought these people were savages. So he actually made a lot of friends with the natives along the way. He actually ended up marrying a native, and they had a child together, which was called a mestizo, or a kid of mixed blood. So he kind of, when he was coming along, people were like, oh, you know, it's the great city, but also they're kind of awful because they're making us tax them with human sacrifice victims. So they didn't really like Moctezuma anyway, and so he kind of gathers this army of sorts of natives. So when he finally shows up, Moctezuma's like, this is the god, Quetzalcoatl. He's just like, hey, we don't want to fight. We're gonna be peaceful. But there was a lot of tension, and the natives in the capital didn't really like Cortez and the white guys. They were like, It's kind of tense for a while. Moctezuma's not really handling them the way that he should. And then the Spaniards decide to capture Moctezuma. He basically becomes like a puppet of the Spaniards. So the people stop trusting Moctezuma because they're like, we know you're just doing whatever the Spaniards tell you to do. Whatever you're saying, the Spaniards told you to say it. And for the most part, they're just kind of quietly upset. But then the Spaniards interrupt a sacrifice, which everyone's like, ah! And the Aztecs are heated. They're shook. They can't. So Moctezuma, the Spaniards are like, Moctezuma, go calm your people. Tell them to chill out. And he's like, hey, maybe you could chill out. And they're like, boy, you're a traitor. They stoned him to death, which wasn't really supposed to happen for the Spaniards' plan to work, but no, he died. So the Spanish were like, perhaps we should leave. And they try to escape it, and it does not go well. There's a lot of death on both sides. It was extremely bloody. And Cortez is like, I guess I have to destroy it. He gathers his army of natives and Spaniards and attacks by both land and sea, because he moves these big, huge ships that he had at the beginning, piece by piece, over the land so they could sail up in these swamps and attack from the causeways, so it's not necessarily being bottlenecked if you were just attacking from land. The Aztecs weren't really prepared to be attacked by boats, because what's a boat? It was an absolute massacre. It was horrible. Those who didn't die in the attack died from disease. About 90% of the population in Mesoamerica is gone. It's wiped out. And Cortez just kind of sets up this thing he calls New Spain. And all the natives are gone. They're dead. That's about all we're gonna say about Cortez today. That's a story of how a little teen guy was like, hey, let's kill an entire population. Europeans are kind of... That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching.